Hello and welcome to another jungle tutorial, and in this one we are going to be taking a look at gameplay about how you can play when all lanes are losing, the state of the game isn't in your favor, and in this particular case, 9 minutes in, down 4,000 gold, which isn't, huge, but it's huge. So as a jungler, when your lanes are in this negative state, when the game is in this negative state, you need to have the right attitude and the right idea of how to path, what lanes to gank, what decisions to make to get yourself fed, so that you can transition this terrible deficit into an equal state game so that you can actually, compete for a win. You don't want to be in a situation where all lanes lose and you are making poor decisions and putting your team in an even bigger hole such that you might never recover. We have a challenger jungler to look at to show us how it's done, and we can focus on what decisions he made in order to bring his team back into the game. But before we do, if you do enjoy these kind of gameplay breakdowns and the other analysis videos we have and are looking for more Virkayu coaching content, don't forget to head to higherlevelgaming.com and sign up for your free trial using the referral code Virkayu with a small V to get access to content I'm making on the side. There are many other games and league creators that you probably recognize from the drop down menu. So if you're looking to improve and you want more league content directly from me, click the link in the description. In addition to the fact that you get access to the entire library of videos from all the other creators as well. And now straight into our gameplay, you will notice that we have an Aatrox jungle showing us how it's done, and so he has started on the red buff and he wants to do the 5 camps before heading into the scuttle crab area. Lee Sin has done the same, except instead of leaving his gromp up like Aatrox, he has left the raptors up. Now they engage in a fight in the river over this crab, and you'll see the Nautilus is moving on down, okay? And the Aatrox and the Lee Sin are in their 1v1 battle, and the Aatrox seemingly is going to win this. However, when you have these kind of fights, it's very important you understand the numbers advantages as well as the angle of attacks and approaches that all the champions are using. Riven is collapsing from the top and is most definitely a better skirmisher than Nautilus. But the problem is, she's coming from the top lane and now you're both sort of squeezed between the Lee and the Riven. And the fact that the Ziggs was first to rotate is good, but the Lux has cut him off with her stun, and the Aatrox gets hit by a Q from the Lee Sin, which means he's going to get chunked and have to flash out of the situation. This then lets them collapse on the Ziggs and the Nautilus. The Ziggs has to flash out, and the Lee Sin hits one more Q before killing the Aatrox, who probably should have saved his E in reaction to seeing that Sonic Wave fly out. So in addition to the fact that these lanes are not going to be in good states anyway, you as a jungler have put yourself behind also. Upon respawning, he does arrive at Krugs just before they spawn, and you can see them pop up there, because he heads to the mid lane to intercept a Lee Sin gank. He's got Pyke also trying to make something happen, and as such, because of this play, they actually burn the Lux's flash. He's an immobile mage in the mid. Yes, she can dish out insane damage, has a stun that is apparently wider than Gragas, but thank Odin, she doesn't have a dash, and so that's a free flash for you. Now, when I talk about giving things up because of your lane states being behind, it doesn't necessarily mean you want to rotate up and down the rivers to gank a lot. Yes, that is a playstyle you can use depending on your jungle matchup. We looked at it with Evelynn last year, I've looked at it a lot with Warwick, but because the Pyke just helped you, will be low on health, might want to go back, your Lucian was back and is just returning to lane, you're not going to have any sort of lane presence in the Scuttle Crab area. As such, even though he tries to skirt the areas to try and sneak it away, he has to back out and he can fall back into his jungle. Now after dying early and not having any crabs, of course he's going to be down a few levels. This means the lane he chooses to show himself in needs to be well thought out with his jungle clear. Unfortunately, it's been a while, so all his camps will be respawning in sequence and he can do a bot to top clear. And when your lanes are behind and the enemy is competent, okay, I'm gonna assume some level of competence here, not full monkey mode. There will be wards in rivers, there will be control wards in corners. You're not going to be able to take typical ganking approaches. That means counter ganks and lane ganks are going to be your friend. So where is that most possible? Ziggs? Probably not. Lux has wave clear, she's gonna shove, you can't really lane gank her with her stun. Bottom lane, difficult to do if they're really far behind. Morgana's Black Shield also makes it very annoying for Pyke and you. That leaves the Nautilus. He is useful, he has CC, he is a tank, he will be useful no matter what. He doesn't need as much gold funneling, and the Riven's going to be hard pushing, trying to exert that dominance. So upon reaching the top lane, you see the pings from the enemy team on his red buff. They assume he's taking that second spawn, and the blue team has no clue where Lee Sin is. So the fact that Pyke leaves his lane, swims up, whatever he does, and puts that ward on the Lee Sin means that now that they know that his location, Aatrox is free to try and do a gank on this top lane. The fact that Riven is 6 and has a lead over the Nautilus means she's going to try and all in and might be a bit too cocky to sort of leave the situation, which is good, and the Aatrox is able to pick up a kill. This is huge. Getting a lane gank in this situation, either by using the plant and approaching immediately, you cannot hesitate if you use the plant when it's warded, or by using the lane gank, is great because not only did you both get kill and assist gold, you get to shove the wave and get some of that experience as well. Remember, the goal here is to absorb experience and gank where you can as much as possible. You want to be the solo carry and the reason your team gets back into the game. They're not even the biggest deficit yet. Watch this. As all junglers know, what happens when you're shown one side of the map? Well, you're probably going to lose a herald if you're ganking bottom lane. You're probably going to lose a dragon if you're ganking top lane. Now, his team should probably just say, you know what, our jungler's top side, Nautilus is top side, we're not going to be able to contest this. But the Ziggs wants to try his luck a little bit, the bottom lane wants to try their luck, they want to try and push them off of the Drake to give Aatrox enough time to rotate down. He has secured the Scuttle Crab on the top side, Lux has set a very nice trap for him, and he falls along with the rest of his team. So yeah, now it's a 4,000 gold deficit. In these situations, when you're down 2,000 gold, given the team comp he has, you're not really down 2,000 gold. Because eventually your team's usefulness will spike regardless. Ziggs will do insane amounts of damage even with less items than the enemy. Nautilus will be tankier than anyone on the enemy team because they have no tanks. But the fact that everyone died around the Fire Drake and the Fire Drake was given up is really a loss you didn't need to take. So now the game plan is still the same. He can respawn, clear his bottom side, walk all the way to the top lane. Remember, top lane is the chosen lane for him to absorb experience, get ganks off to punish over-aggression from the Riven, and get himself fed. It happens once again. He goes straight up there, the Nautilus sets it up very nicely, and they grab a kill. And the reason, you're probably wondering, why are you talking about a game like this with all the scores and KDAs disabled? Because I want you to be in the mind of this jungler in-game. And in this moment, you know that the enemy team is going to be overconfident with their lead. They think they are winning every lane, they think they got the Fire Dragon, they can do whatever they want. And so a little bit of cheese and a bit of patience will go a long way in getting yourself fed to the point that you can actually help the fact that all of your lanes are losing and you want to bend but not break that gold lead. Yes, you can give up outer towers, you can give up dragons, you just don't want to give up your base. Aatrox is about to go back, but upon seeing the Riven TP back, goes back into the side bush. It uses the, well, you know, the Nautilus is the cheese, you're the mousetrap. He has low mana, she thinks the Aatrox left, there's no ways he would have left a wave deep pushing like this, that's not good for his top laner at all. Surprise, surprise, there's Nautilus, there's Aatrox, they can chunk her and push her back. Now the Lee Sin shows up, and this is very important. It's a 2v2, they know the Riven and the Lee Sin have a gold lead, as well as a stat lead, but they're underestimating the fact that this is Aatrox. His kit is very strong, he is kept up in levels and experience, and the Nautilus has enough mana for one more hook that lets the Lee Sin sort of bait the Riven into the rest of the fight. Aatrox gets the reset on his ultimate, and the Lee Sin is now forced to flash. Excellent bit of patience, a little bit of bush cheese, and you've got yourself a flash burn, another kill. And because all lanes are losing, the fact that you can absorb this jungle pressure at the moment is so important. Your presence in a lane is forcing the enemy jungler to have to deal with you because you keep on repeat ganking. The Lee Sin probably thinks there's no ways he stuck around for a third time, right? Referencing the odd one from years ago. He's definitely gone back to spend his gold now, right? No, there's Aatrox, use the flash, hit the Q, goodbye Lee Sin. And that's what I'm talking about, making some sort of impact on the map even though all lanes are behind and you can't do the crab, you can't counter jungle freely, you can't use all the angles of approach to gank with the impunity you want. But this is a good way. Now the foundation is set. You are yourself fed, you're ahead of the enemy jungler, you've got a bunch of kills. How do you bring, over the next couple of minutes, this gold lead back to an equilibrium where you're both in an equal 5v5 and it, boils down to which team has the less monkeys? So the key part of this whole thing is you can't AFK farm, you can't be doing your Krogs when there's 3 mid and say, wow, my team sucks, all lanes are losing, nothing I could do, GG Elenas. You are the fed one, go and use the stats you've gotten, go and use the experience lead you have and try and do something. They burn Lux's flash, they burn Morgana's ultimate, they kill the Morgana at the same time. I'd say they burned Lux's ultimate, but it's gonna be up again in 10 seconds anyway. But the Riven is rotated down, she kills Pyke, and here's where people who are behind get a little bit too greedy. It's okay to give up your outer towers. And in fact, it's not even a bad thing because you can ward your jungle much more easily than you can ward the river. And you can see their approaches and you just need to make sure you're not pushing past vision lines, you're not getting caught out, you sort of want them to tilt into you a little bit. Yes, you've got wave clear, you can do things. You might have also noticed that the Herald was taken by the enemy team, and Aatrox had to give up his blue. Notice how much is being given up, but how it doesn't really feel that way. So because of, the full clear and the fact that he got some kills in the mid lane, he and Pyke can roam to the top lane and punish the Riven yet again. His choice to gank this lane and camp it was a good one. However, because you show 3 at the top lane, even though the Riven shouldn't have died, it was definitely her own blindness. Lee Sin pinged it out, he was there for a counter gank, but you can't really 3v2 the Aatrox and Pyke at this stage. They do activate the Herald on the mid lane, but they're willing to give up that outer tower. It's okay. The fact that you have one of the enemies off the map, not able to push, and you can shove the top lane, the tower in the mid lane was gonna die anyway at some point. The fact that they wasted the Herald on this and didn't get a second tower is the most important thing. A 1 tower Herald when all lanes are losing and you're the only true Fed member? Perfect. And his laners actually do manage to make a play, punishing the over pushing by the enemy team. Again, because Riven is dead, Lee Sin isn't too present at the moment, but he's getting Heralds, he's getting Dragons, he's getting Vision, he's counter jungling wherever he can, and he's making his impact felt that way, and that can feel frustrating. But the fact that you keep having a numbers advantage because of your map rotations has allowed your team to make a play. Yes, you have to give up the Dragon, you cannot contest it, you don't have any idea of where anyone else might be to contest you. But that lets the Aatrox go to the bottom lane and hold that tower. Now if you recall, when the enemy gets a little frustrated not being able to use their lead, they're going to try push a little bit. So defending those towers is very important. Push the wave out a little bit, force someone to come and deal with it. The more vision and tracking you have with the enemy team, the more you can use your map rotations to get number advantages to make plays yourself. Now before we get to the big gold equalizing event, there's 2 things that happen that set up said event. Now, the first thing is, of course, because of his pushing out on the bot lane, Lux is thinking, let me push bottom, I'll grab that tower. This gives Aatrox and Pyke time to roam the enemy jungle, get vision, look for a pick, look for a fight, and as soon as the enemy team shows numbers disadvantage to you, and you have a lead, or a good pick team, or a good engaged team, go. Pull the trigger. This goes for all roles. Don't sit back too much. When you have a numbers advantage there, push it and use it. As such, Big Daddy Aatrox is able to dive, take out the Morgana, get the double kill. Excellent. However, the Riven and the Lee Sin, of course, are still stronger than your laners, and they push them back, and now you're feeling sad, but it's okay. Defend your jungle. That's what he's done the whole game. He's defended his jungle. Take your camps, get more experience and gold. Rotate to the top lane. Tower dive them again. Grab another 2 kills. You're now in the enemy's mind. They know you're the alpha gorilla on the enemy team. You're pushing things. You are everywhere on the map. You are rotating to all events and making those big plays. So, this is a huge gold haul for the Aatrox, so he needs to go back to buy, spend it, and set up the final stage of their 4,000 gold deficit comeback. And it's because of the fact that Aatrox has, yes, he camped top lane, but he had a presence in the mid lane, he pushed out the bottom lane, he forced the enemy team to rotate to deal with the wave pressure he created, and he also, through these skirmishes and fights, has given his team assist gold, and most importantly has given them time to gather themselves and get a few items. The fact that the Pyke was helping him do this as well is very important. If you're a support player, roaming here, getting deep vision, helping make those picks for your jungler, funneling him as best you can is a good decision. And now we reach the dragon fight. You can now have a good 5v5, you have an equal gold lead almost, and you want to be able to use the items you've gotten to not give away another objective. This is the objective you can fight. The other ones you could not fight. If you fought and died, you give up way more. So using their presence of mind, ping your team back, communicate with them as best you can, no matter what MMR bracket you're in, and I'll just let you watch the glory and majesty of Demon Blade Golden Aatrox getting resets thanks to Pyke and shoving the enemy off the dragon with just pure brute unbridled force. Absolutely glorious. Now they get the dragon, the gold is equal, and your team can go about knowing that you can contest objectives, you can fight together, you can start pushing out waves to get towers, knowing that as a collective, and the fact that you have Big Daddy Aatrox at the front controlling things, who is huge, because of the fact that he defended his own jungle, he camped a lane and absorbed that experience, he set some cheese traps, he used his item lead in that 15-minute phase to stop the enemy from pushing too much with the Herald, to stop them taking more towers than they could have. And because of this, his team is now set up to close the game out. Well, they don't actually do that. The game is basically a challenger equivalent of a fiesta. Baron throws, silly decisions. And if you're interested in how they would close the game out from this perspective, I did do a video 2 weeks ago on how to close out games. I advise watching that from a macro standpoint because that's all the game will divulge into now. But I can let you know that the Aatrox did carry this game. Here's the final scorecard. An excellent job of that early to mid game focus, getting himself huge so that he could carry. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you were able to enjoy and learn something. Always nice seeing Prestige Aatrox do things from the jungle instead of top lane. Please do comment below if you've had a nice comeback victory and tell us what jungler you used. Do share the video and like it if you enjoyed it. Consider subscribing for more League of Legends and jungle videos coming very soon. And as always, I will see you all in the next tutorial.